Hi, welcome back. In the last video we did these. Now we're going to keep going, and these are similar, so let's read the directions. Two sides of a triangle have the following measures. Find the range. Okay, so a range of numbers, a range of possible numbers for the third side. So we're looking for a number on this side and a number on that side. Noticing that these aren't equal signs, and so what this range means is the number of the third side has to fall between two numbers. And that's what we did up here. Now you might be thinking, this looks like an answer. It doesn't. I put my answers and my work on another piece of paper. So I'd suggest watching the first video if you're trying to figure out these questions. Okay, so as we continue, I need this same formula, the second side minus the first, and the second side plus the first side can tell me the range of numbers that the third side could be. And that's exactly what they're asking for here. So in question 13, I've got two sides, 9 and 5. So 9 minus 5. Notice I don't want negative. So the length of the side of a triangle can't be negative. So you want to make sure that you order these correctly. The second side would have to be 9 because the smallest side is 5. And a side length can't be negative. Okay, now third side. Now let's add those two numbers. And that's actually our answer. They are actually asking for the range of numbers. So in 13, that is how they would like us to show our answer. I'm going to go in order on this. The last video I went kind of out of order. So 14, I have the number 5 and 8, so I'm going to subtract 5 and 8, and I'm going to add 5 and 8 to get my range. I'm going to subtract 6 and 10. And I'm going to add 6 and 10 to get my range. I'm going to subtract 6 and 9. And I'm going to add 6 and 9 to get my range. Oops, sorry, I think maybe you couldn't see that. So on 15, I added 6 and 10, and I subtracted 6 and 10 to get my range. On 16, I added 9 and 6, and I subtracted 9 and 6 to get my range. 17, I'm going to subtract 11 and 8. And I'm going to add 11 and 8. To get my range. All right, looks like my marker's getting out, so I'll have to switch markers, pens here. Last one of this type. I'm going to subtract 14 and 11, and I'm going to add 14 and 11 to get my range. So I have my range is 3 to 25, 3 to 19, 3 to 15, 4 to 16, 3 to 13. Cool. Now let's keep reading. New set of instructions. It states the following. Do these following lengths form a right triangle? So this is really interesting because we've never used Pythagorean theorem backwards. In a way, we're actually using Pythagorean theorem here to prove it's a right triangle, which I think is a terrific idea. So once again, though, we need to order the sides least to greatest, 6, 8, 9. Okay. And then we do a squared plus b squared is c squared. So 6 squared plus 8 squared. We're asking is, does it equal 9 squared? So 36 and 64 happens to be 100. Uh-oh. And 9 squared is 81. So 81 and 100 are not the same number. So I have to say no, not a right triangle. Okay, and that's what they've asked. Do the lengths form a right triangle? Our answer is no, this is not a right triangle. 2. I've got 5, 12, and 13. I've actually memorized this one. I know this one's going to work, but let's watch it happen. So a squared plus b squared is c squared. 5 squared plus 12 squared should equal 13 if and only if it's a right triangle. Interesting. And in the calculator, 13 times 13 is 169. And so last time I checked, 169 is equal to 169. So I can say, yes, it's a right triangle. Hooray. Okay. Let's keep chugging. Next one, 6, 8, 10. Oh, I think I have this one memorized too. 6, 8, 10. It's the big brother to the most famous triangle of all time. But let's watch this happen. Okay, so a squared plus b squared is c squared. 6 squared and 8 squared makes 10 squared. 36 and 64 should equal 100. Ah, and it does. Awesome. So I'm going to say yes. It's a right triangle. Cool. Question 4. Ooh, that is the most, there it is. Most famous triangle of all time. 3, 4, 5. Because a squared plus b squared is c squared. And that's Pythagorean theorem, and it works if and only if it's a right triangle. So 9 and 16. 5 squared is 25. Last time I checked, 25 is equal to 25. So yes, it's a right triangle. Hooray. Okay. Now they've taken it off the picture. So that's interesting. I can put it back on the picture if I want. So if it was a right triangle, the small side was 6.4, medium is 12, large is 12.2. But I don't know if it's a right triangle. I'm not sure. That's what I'm supposed to prove here. So some classes we did this together. A squared plus b squared is c squared. 6.4 plus 12 squared. Now I got to get out my trusty calculator. Okay, so 6.4. Okay, so on the left side of the equation, I get 184.96. When I take 12.2 square, 148.84. Oops, that 148.84 does not equal 184.96. So we got a problem. I got to say no, not a right triangle. We're not really saying it's not a triangle. We're just saying it's not a right triangle. Let's keep it moving. It says find the missing length and round to the nearest tenth. Great idea. So question 7. This is a review from middle school when we did Pythagorean theorem. So notice this is the hypotenuse, so we're going to call that c. So a squared plus b squared has to equal c squared. Add those up. Now, if they wanted an exact answer, I could take the square root of both sides. I get the square root of 80. But they've actually asked me to round to the nearest 10. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Square root of 80 is 8.9. 8. So question number 8. They've also not told us the hypotenuse. Okay, so I have 3 squared plus 6 squared has to equal c squared. and they said, nope, you might get a decimal, so round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to take the square root of 45, and that could have been my final answer, but they asked me to round. So I'm going to go ahead and take the square root. I get 6.7. 9. Okay, once again, they didn't tell me the hypotenuse in my picture. I got to make sure I know which side I'm solving for. So I get 7 squared plus 10 squared is c squared. Oops, not 49 squared. 7 squared is 49. Oops, sorry about that. I don't want that confusing anybody. 100. So I have 149. Take the square root of both sides. I get 12.2. Final answer. Cool. 10. So question 10, I'm solving for the hypotenuse. 3 squared plus 7 squared is c squared. So I could leave my final answer the square root of 58, but if they've asked me to round, I'm going to round 7.6. I'm solving for the hypotenuse, so I'm going to take 2 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. Square root of 7.3. Cool. All right, last one. We got 12 is 2 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. There's our picture. Let's do it. Final answer could be the square root of 40, but they've asked us to round, so let's round 6.3. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.